Welcome to another episode of Breaking Mayberry, playing the banjo while Rome burns. I am one of your hosts. I am Marty Schneider.
I'm the other one, Dan Ludwig.
Joining us for a second time is our legal advisor and legal counsel, whether he likes it or not, Ian Roberts.
Okay, I'll definitely not.
Yeah.
But okay, yeah, like surprise, bitch. I bet you thought you'd seen the last of me.
We definitely aren't recording these one after the other.
Nope, it's not the same night at all.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Now you're here to talk about gender.
Yeah, we
Fun.
Yeah.
we probably should have had a different guest on. Whatever.
I mean, I can still talk about legal developments when it comes to equality and feminism.
Exactly.
I can still do that.
Yeah.
That's true. That's what you're here for.
His legal expertise is relevant. Is ever relevant.
Let's just go ahead and set up this episode that we're talking about. This episode's fucking weird, guys.
Oh yeah.
There's some weird psychosexual shit that goes down in this one.
Oh, definitely. I mean, the first episode you guys ever had me on had to do with Barney, like, trying to court someone and it being really awkward. And, like, that first episode, from what I remember, I can't remember her name. It was another, like,
It was Edna May.
Yeah, it was another.
No, you're not.
It was another. It was another southern girl name.
That woman just vanished.
Yeah,
and
of course
Thelma
she did.
Lou slid
And
in.
Thelma Lou slides in, and he kind of upgraded with Thelma Lou because she at least looks a good 15 years younger.
Yeah.
So we're talking about Barney Fife's dick again, guys.
Yes.
Like, welcome.
Like, and each time episode we do, it's like a new like layer in the onion of crazy that is Barney Fife.
Just the weird, like, insane Rube Goldberg, like lengths you have to go to get Barney Fife to be sexually interested in his girlfriend.
Ew.
Like, yeah. No, we're talking about Barney Fife's dick.
All right.
Way more than I thought I'd ever as an adult.
So we're talking about Season 2, Episode 5, Barney on the Rebound, directed by guy who's still not sure why they canceled Nash Bridges, Bob Sweeney.
Purveyor of artisanal fudges, Bob Sweeney.
And written, of course, by Charles Stewart and Jack Ellenson. First airs October 30th, 1961. And I'll go ahead and do our one-sentence summary from Wikipedia. After an argument with Thelma Lou, Barney finds a new girlfriend. That's... Order-wise, that's actually not...
that's a little misleading.
That leaves a little bit out.
Wikipedia is being charitable.
Yeah.
After an argument with Thelma Lou, Barney finds a new girlfriend, who turns out to be a visiting con artist, and her... spoiler alert.
What the fuck is with Wikipedia giving away?
They kind of gave away the twist that comes in the last, 2 minutes of the episode.
That is our job.
Yeah.
Oh, well, if you think that was a spoiler, who turns out to be a visiting con artist, and her husband/associate.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Played by Jackie Coogan, who, best known for being Uncle Fester on The Addams Family.
What? No
That's
way!
who that is?
Oh my god!
Are you
wow! Didn't he have a
shitting me?
mustache?
Yeah,
Didn't he have a mustache in this episode?
yeah.
I couldn't. Yeah, there's no way I could have told.
Sans
Wow!
mustache, that's fucking
Oh my god, that
Fester.
is Uncle Fester.
Oh my god, she was fucking Fester.
Ew.
Oh, that's upsetting. She was fucking Uncle Fester with, oh shit, what's the dad's name?
Gomez?
With Gomez's mustache.
Ew.
She was fucking Uncle Fester with Gomez's
Gomez
mustache.
had a pencil mustache. His the guy in this one was definitely like a shoe brush kind of.
You're right, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh god, that makes it... I didn't know this episode could be more upsetting, and it found a way.
Mustache rides.
Yeah.
Oh!
I get
All
that good mustache ride from Uncle Fester. Boom, episode title, nailed it.
Uncle Fester's Mustache is our Addams Family podcast.
Yeah.
Uncle Fester's mustache rides.
Alright. So let's go ahead and launch right into this. So we open up outside of, the general store, just out on the street. where Thelma Lou and Barney are like meeting. Barney's about to go on his rounds, and Thelma gives him a kiss.
Yeah, like not
and
even
for some
not
reason,
even
this seems like a big deal.
Yeah, Barney throws a little temper tantrum about this. He says, "Oh, don't kiss me!" Like he's like afraid of PDAs or something.
Right, and just to back up a little bit, one thing I definitely noted is that he drops her off. And he's, like, looking into her purse, but Don Knotts is clearly looking down her shirt. Like, I don't know if you guys noticed that.
I did not, and I'm so mad I did.
But just want to make that clear. That's definitely what I saw. But, like, anyway, then she kisses him, and that's apparently a big deal.
She kisses him, and then Don Knotts starts to freak out about how it's inappropriate for a deputy to be kissed. And then, like, a passing, like, farmer just, like, does look at them.
Yeah.
And he's like, do you see how people are, like, are horrified by our PDA?
Yeah.
And I was just like, he's wondering why you're shrieking in the middle of a street, you jackass.
So this is, again, anytime you see Barney implementing, like, or having any interaction with Thelma Lou, always remember that he's also trying to fuck Juanita Beasley.
Yeah.
Always remember.
Wait, okay, who's Juanita? Because I heard that name and I thought it was a reference to a person of color that's not on the show. But is that different?
Juanita is a waitress who is like in the next town over or whatever, and Barney is on the phone with an awful lot.
Have we ever actually seen her?
We've never seen her. I don't think we see her at all in the entire show.
Yeah, but he basically has phone sex with her like a couple of times on the show, and I feel like the implication is that he's fucking her. He's basically like cheating on Thelma Lou with her, or at the very least, he's constantly flirting with cheating on Thelma Lou with her.
Okay.
And so I think that like he hides it behind like, well, you can't kiss me. I'm a deputy and I'm doing my job. Almost like maternally, like, Mom, not in front of the boys. But I also think that there's a hint of like, if someone else sees, like, he doesn't want anyone to know that he has a girlfriend. So actually, I think, just to circle back to Juanita real quick, do you think that the reason that Barney just doesn't, like, leave Thelma Lou for Juanita is, like, Juanita sounds like a, like...
Maybe she's Latino?
Yeah, she sounds Latina. Like, do you think,
Latina,
like...
yeah. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah, no, do you think, like, maybe that's, like, sort of a subtle thing about it is, like...
Maybe. What was her last name, though?
Beasley. That's on the line.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking, like, maybe, like, the implication is, like, he can't leave Thelma Lou for her because she's not white.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe.
That's a little tenuous because she's not an actual character in the show. Like,
we'll never see her.
She's just off screen.
But so, that supports it not being...
Never know.
That supports her not being white, because if she was white, she'd be on the show.
Yeah. Good call.
Yeah.
Good call.
Yeah, okay. Right. So I think that there's the subtle implication that he's having, like, an emotional affair with, like...
and possibly a physical affair.
Possibly a physical.
She's only in the next town.
Yeah. And he can't leave her because he can't leave Thelma Lou for her because he has to, like, because she's not white.
He's really just not interested in Thelma Lou at all.
Which is a shame because Thelma Lou, like, unlike whatever the name of, like, his season 1 girlfriend was, Thelma Lou's actually kind of cute for, like, for like a 60s girl that dresses like it's 1941.
And also, like, has a personality. Yeah. Thelma, be better to yourself. That's going to be a recurring theme. We haven't even gotten to the fucked up shit that he does to her yet.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so let's go ahead. Like, all he's done so far is get mad at her for showing affection.
Yeah, and then she goes in to buy groceries, right?
And he leaves because, like, a woman pulls up.
A
car pulls up. He doesn't know it's a woman yet.
Yeah, alright, pulls up in a very 50s car versus, like, the rest of the cars are either, like, kind of nondescript 1960s designs or, like, 30s.
Yeah.
This is very explicitly a 50s, like, boat car.
She's, like, you can always tell when a character is an out-of-towner because they're not, like, driving Cheechany Bang Bang. Like,
they don't look like they're from the Depression.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay, yeah, because that's definitely a thing that I picked up with her.
Yeah.
Alright, so she pulls in there. Alright.
In a reserved spot. That's what he's going for, is like, it's like the reserve for the sheriff's spot.
Yeah, and and when he stops her, she's like, I didn't realize I was doing anything wrong. There was a fucking sign right there that says sheriff's parking only. Like, so, he's attracted to this gorgeous illiterate woman who, by the way, when she first appears, like, tries to, like, you know, do, like, a hair flip, and she even gets a sexy saxophone riff, and she tries to do a hair flip, but her hair is too perm to actually flip. So, like, you know, that's your first sign, I guess.
I do have one question, though. So she pulls up behind the squad car in the sheriff's spot. Now, she doesn't know it, but we know it. There's only one squad car in Mayberry.
Yeah.
Why wasn't Barney parked in that spot?
That's a good question.
Why did Barney not park in the sheriff's parking spot?
Especially when he was so close to it.
Yeah, he's parked at the spot directly in front of it. Which,
that
by the way,
super weird.
By the way, was in front of a fire hydrant or fire plug, as they call it. Yeah.
So,
just saying.
This whole scene is just a train wreck of just collapse logic.
Yeah.
So he goes up and he, like, starts to give her a ticket, and she just does, like, oh, sorry, officer, I didn't know I couldn't do that.
Second time we've seen a woman, like, flirt to get out of a ticket.
Right.
And that made them the worst person on the planet.
Yeah. And, like, he's super awkward about it, but, you know, she kind of, like, flirts with him, and then he straight up ditches Thelma Lou to give some random bimbo with a pearl necklace a motorcade ride to a post office that's a block away.
Hardcore eye fucks her.
Yeah.
Like, in front of, like, he doesn't even, like, check to make sure that Thelma Lou isn't staring directly at him as he essentially, like, humps her leg on the street.
He just forgets that Thelma Lou exists.
Yeah.
Now, to be charitably fair, Barney Fife forgets that anything exists if it's not directly in his line of sight. Yeah. He has no, like, proprioception. He has no idea of the world around him.
His object permanence is tenuous at best. But fucking, so he leads her, he makes a big thing of, like, I'm gonna drive you to the post office, because that's what she's looking for. And make, like, lights the siren, and, like, leads her car there, and the big joke is, it's just on the other side of the cul-de-sac.
I will say, this scene goes on just long enough to be funny.
Yeah.
Sometimes that hasn't happened.
And then, he takes her arm and, like, leads her into the post office. And Thelma Lou is just...
comes out, and she's, like, her face of, like, barely suppressed, jealous what-the-fuckery before she starts tearing up is just priceless.
Just standing, like, almost, like, dumbstruck with, like, how big of a shithead her boyfriend is.
Right. Yeah, and of course she sees it because he's 40 feet away.
Right. Yeah! Like, he forgot that she existed. Like, I think, like, just sort of dumbstruck by, like, if you're gonna be a scumbag, you're gonna be this dumb of a scumbag?
Right.
Like...
So the next scene, they're at the jailhouse, and Thelma Lou is talking to Andy about Barney and complaining about basically what a dickbag he is.
Yeah.
And then Barney enters, and he's, like, real proud of himself, like, like he just got a number.
Yeah.
And he's surprised. He goes, oh, Thelma Lou, you're here.
He was going to brag to Andy about this. He was going to be like, hey, Andy, there was a super hot to Thelma Lou. Like, yeah. He's like really proud of himself and like shocked that she's in the room.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's always like disappointed that she's in the room. He's like, oh, well, did you get your shopping done? And she, again, like, I'll put the clip in here.
Oh, hi, Thelma Lou. Hi, Chief.
Barn.
Did you get all your shopping done?
Yes, did you?
Huh?
Who's the girl?
What girl?
The one who got the police escort to the post office.
Oh, her.
Yes, her. Who is she?
Oh, her name's Melissa Stevens. She just moved here with her daddy, and they're renting the old Pearson place out on Post Road till they find where they want to settle. Her daddy's name's George. He owned a cotton mill down in Savannah. He had some shipping inners, too. Made his bundle. He's retired now, you know. He's a widower. His wife died 4 years ago last October, and Melissa's been taking care of him ever since. That's why she's never married. She's an educated girl, too. She went to junior college down there 2 years. A real nice girl, Thelma. Well, you ought to get to know her. You'd like her a lot, because she's What's the matter?
You get all this information just showing her the way to the post office?
Well, no, I didn't just show her the way. Naturally, I escorted her inside.
Oh, naturally.
Well, my gosh, Thelma Lou, well, what do you expect? You just can't point and run. I mean, she's new here. Being an officer, it's practically my duty to show her around. Right, Andy?
Oh, yeah.
Just what did you have to show her that she couldn't find herself?
Well, lots of things. The stamp machine, the parcel post window, the outgoing airmail slot.
Yeah, they're hard to find.
Well, I mean, when you're new in town.
The poor little lost lamb.
Now, wait a minute, Thelma Lou.
No, you wait a minute. I think you ought to know you made a big fool of yourself.
Why? Because I happen to be courteous to a stranger, strictly in the line of duty? And it was strictly in the line of duty, right, Andy?
I believe I'd rather stay out of this.
Did you get your shopping done? Did you?
It's a kick-ass line.
I mean, yeah, it was a good comeback. I mean, during this whole, like, scene, like, just the relationship conventions that come up are, like, cringeworthy. Especially relationships as Barney Fife conceives them. Because Barney Fife, like, you know, seems to conceive it as being in a relationship means not being free. He explicitly, like, equates it to not being free.
Yeah.
Like, you know, basically being fucking slavery. Which, you know, Thelma Lou also sort of seems to agree, but, like, Barney also thinks that, like, this naturally makes women just naturally jealous, paranoid creeps.
It's so weird to me because the whole time here he plays like you don't own me card or whatever.
Yeah.
Several times, which I
He's
get.
the one that's playing that, not her.
Right.
Yeah.
And I get that, but it almost comes across like Barney can't conceive that there's a point where you are committed before a marriage.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, he seems to think that there's only a commitment once the rings are on.
Yeah.
And until the rings are on. Basically what's happening here is Thelma Lou and Barney have not had the whole, hey, are we,
They have not had the conversation where they're like, are we a thing?
Yeah.
Like, they haven't had that conversation yet.
Amazing. Like, it's still, like, you know, that's not just a, like, you know, post-2000 thing.
So the show Lovesick has a line in it where one of the characters, it takes place in England, and one of the characters goes like, so you know in America, you're not exclusive until you explicitly state that you're exclusive. Really seems to save you a lot of heartache and confusion. So that leads me to believe that this is like a fucking, like, this definitely hasn't been a thing.
Maybe,
like,
so it's a universal human experience that people are always in, like, are we dating yet? Are we a thing yet, or are we not? And
I feel like that seems like a thing that, like, our generation invented almost.
Wow.
I gotta say, in 1960...
And people say that, like, millennials are useless.
Yeah.
Like, that's fucking crucial.
In 1961, though, it feels like if you went out to, like, one church picnic together, you were getting hit.
Yeah,
right?
like,
yeah.
Welcome,
I guess so.
Welcome to heterosexuality, man.
Yeah.
It's a fucking trip.
Like,
Wow.
I feel like back then, I would assume the rules would be like, oh, we held hands, we're locked in until we break up.
I guess so.
But
Wow.
no, dude, like, in a way, I'm just gonna say, like, Barney would be progressive in his approach to, like, if he communicated this desire at all to
Yeah,
Thelma
that's
Lou.
true. That's kind of true.
And, okay, but hang on. We haven't even gotten to the fucking weird swinger shit yet.
Oh, yeah.
Let's get to the fucking plot of the
Yeah.
Like, listen,
you know,
this-
but
this-
wait, I just have to, like, do a seed, like, for some of the quotes. Alright,
Oh, please.
for some of the quotes from the conversation that he has after Thelma Lou storms out, like, angrily.
Oh, yeah, let's go ahead
you know,
and...
talking about where, like, Barney is, like, talking about, like, you know, oh, man, screw women, where it almost sounds like he's, like, going asexual.
He describes it as, I'm gonna be a hermit.
Yep.
Yeah.
Put every female on a slow boat to China!
I do love Slow Boat to China as a phrase.
He's men going their own way. He's MGTOWing.
Yeah.
He's about to incel.
Barney Fife,
No,
incel champion.
No,
Right.
sorry, voice cell.
Yeah, and, like, what's the difference between an
Voluntarily celibate. Incel is involuntarily celibate.
Okay, got it.
I hate that I know that distinction.
Also, I do want to point out, in this scene, I really like what Andy does. Like, we talked about Andy being, like, the stoic character. He turns his back, literally, in the conversation.
Wait, I thought that was later, where he's like...
No, it's when they're having
I'm talking about during the argument.
Okay.
Yeah.
During the argument, he turns his back on the conversation. It's very rare to see, like, a television character, especially a main character,
not
spend
have their
an entire-
face towards the camera, yeah.
Spend an entire scene with their back to the camera, but he, like, just with his voice, occasionally, like, leans over his shoulder and goes, Barney, I would change the subject.
Yeah.
Barney, you should change the subject. And then she storms out.
And then he goes like, well, that's a pretty good way to change the subject.
And now it's too late to change the subject. So
But
yeah.
but like, what was Barney going to change the subject to? Like,
Right,
so
yeah, that's what I was wondering.
I want to cheat on you. By the way, have you caught the Mets this week? What the fuck are they doing?
Right.
Like, but yeah, no, like, so Barney's honestly, honestly, this whole thing seems like an abusive situation off the get-go.
No one in this room is in a happy place,
right?
Including Andy.
Yeah,
including Andy.
No, but Thelma Lou is like it feels like she's been so beaten down in this relationship that Barney Fife says, "Hey, I want to cheat on you, and I want that to be fine," and she's like, "Well, that's a valid viewpoint that I'm going to debate in good faith." Like that's where she's at, where she's like, "Okay, you want to cheat on me? I disagree."
So if this were an episode with She Who Must Not Be Named in it, you know that they would have done like another weird bullshit crossover thing where it was like, well, if he wants to flirt with her, then you're going to flirt with somebody else. And they would have done like some wacky relationship. In fact, I think I'm describing a season 1 episode. Now that I think
where Barney like tries to play the field and then they use
whatever. So anyway, Thelma Lou kind of says, like, well, if you're free, then I'm free too, and then uses her freedom to just leave. Yeah. That's it. She just walks out. And, we mentioned that Barney is now going, like, men going their own way, but then as soon as he gets a call from Melissa, he heads right on over, because...
Well, I mean, first, doesn't he talk about, like, playing the field, and he's like, tonight Melissa, tomorrow not Juanita.
Yeah.
But, like, and that was, I didn't know about Juanita, like, before you mentioned her. I thought that was the first references to any, like, inter-ethnic relationship on this show. And I was like, wow, that's a gem.
Oh, like, he was like... tomorrow I'm going to sleep with tonight I'm going to sleep with Melissa. Tomorrow, maybe a woman who's not white. The sky's the limit.
Maybe I'll
Jessica,
have one of them.
my life.
And that's the origin story of Mambo number 5.
Party was probably Mambo number 1.
So he gets a call from Melissa.
And it's like the whole like I'm going to never talk to a woman again. Oh, hi, Melissa. Yeah, and then
so he goes over to Melissa's house,
and they're like
is there with her and her father.
Who
wink.
Yeah. And they're like, play us your harmonica, Barney.
No. First, the intro they do is they're sitting in the living room and they're all laughing. And Barney says, like, do you want to hear another one? And he tells them, like, a
really weird joke.
A terrible joke.
A terrible joke, like, what's yellow and weighs so-and-so pounds?
The joke is, I remember it, what is yellow and flies and weighs 1,000 pounds? 2 500-pound canaries.
So, a very, like, non-joke.
Yeah.
And the dad says a line that really weirded me out. He was like, I love a good story. Indicating he's not listening. Like, he's just been tuning this out. Like, he could have, like, done 4 more of those and be like, that is an accurate assessment of modern politics. Yeah.
Oh, those clowns in Congress. Yeah.
So wait, I want to segue into something, like, here about opening up on this scene in particular, because I noticed something about this set that you don't really see about any other, like, sets in common, because there's this whole thing about, like, Andy Griffith's show. It's shot in the 60s. It ostensibly takes place in the 60s. Supposedly, yes, but it intentionally evokes the 30s. It's, like, supposed to, like, have a Depression-era vibe. Like, so, one of those things that I was trying to think about is, like, are they trying to, like, say something about intentionally distance themselves from kind of the, like, cynical, like, more secular kind of post-World War II era with all of its stresses versus, like, the 30s where, like, the world was kind of simpler and stuff like that, and things might have been shitty, but at least, you had your own corner of the world. It wasn't as complicated, and, like, the problems you could wrap your head around or something like that. And just because, like, it just seems significant to me that the only 2 people who seem to actually decorate their home and dress like it's past 1955 are, like, portrayed as just these, like, really shitty inner city con artists who are slumming it in the Appalachians.
I mean, there is definitely an element that, so the Melissa simultaneously represents, like, sort of a more sexually liberated woman. I think that's, like, supposed to come across.
Yeah.
But the courtship is happening through her father, which is a more, like, traditional, like, anachronistic form of romance.
But, like, you can...
Again, like, we've already revealed the switch here.
We already know. I mean, we already know coming from.
Like, it's not her father, it's her husband.
Right.
So... even without knowing that in advance, though, this whole scene has weird cuckold swinger shit.
Yes, it does.
All the vibe going all over it.
There's this weird anachronism in Anachronism, sorry. In like sort of regressive sexual politics where you Run the Jewels describes in one of their songs as you want a whore in a white dress, where it's like you want there's a follow-up line like I want a wife in a thong, like stuff like that. So it's like this whole thing of like you want the woman to be simultaneously sexually liberated.
You want her to be a whore in the Virgin Mary.
It's a virgin whore.
Yeah,
it's a virgin whore dichotomy.
You want them to simultaneously be sexually liberated and sexually repressed. So you want the same thing. So that's sort of
you want them to be like the whole thing is that like at least. This is me speaking as a gay man growing up, trying to be being taught that he was straight. Like, is that the whole thing that men are taught to kind of idealize is that they like bring out like this like sexual being in the Virgin or something, which is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
No. Anyway, but yeah,
welcome to our new podcast. 3 white men discuss women's sexuality for an hour.
Yeah. Welcome.
Glad to have you here.
The Barney Fifes of the world want a woman who is super like sexually open, but never fucks anyone else, ever, like other than them ever.
Exactly.
It's almost like
he wants a fuck puppet.
Yeah, and that's where it comes to, right? Is like he's allowed to go around and search around, and she's not, simply by virtue of the writing, essentially, right? Because this is how Ellison and Stewart kind of see the world. When he says, I'm free, that means he's free to go off with other women. And when she says, I'm free, she means I'm free to leave the room.
Yes. Christ, fuck.
So yeah, they do let Barney play the goddamn harmonica for about 3 seconds, and he just plays fucking Jingle Bells.
Yeah, well, I mean, he does play Jingle Bells. He says, like, when they ask him what songs are in his repertoire, like, he says, like, these names of songs, and I have no idea what they are.
Rock and Roll Rosie from Raleigh again.
Yeah.
Like, Kitten on the Keys, Roses of Picardy, and Funiculi Funicula are the songs that he lists as being within his repertoire, and I'm like, what the hell are those?
It's
like they all give me different images.
It's a fucking harmonica. It's like the biggest indication of the fact that they're fucking with him, that they're the only characters in the show so far that are willing to tolerate the harmonica for more than like 2 seconds.
That's true.
Yeah. But yeah, so doing this weird like father-daughter date.
Yeah.
Like, where he's mostly talking to the dad and the daughter is also there.
Right. Like, I mean, it feels very much like a meeting the parents for the first time thing. And I don't know if he's met Thelma Lou's parents. Like, another reason for Thelma Lou to be pissed.
But he's barely met Melissa. Like, he went with Melissa to the post office and he's like, hello, father. Oh, Melissa, you can listen to my conversation with your dad. Like, I'm sure this is great for you.
So, the next scene, it's nothing much happens. Barney comes back to the jail. He's super proud that he stayed out all the way till 10:30.
I mean, Andy and Barney do have the most awkward around the bush, did you get laid night or not last night discussion.
But no, he's not hinting that he got laid. He's hinting like, I was in the hemisphere of getting laid. Like, I am
this close to sealing the deal.
Sorry.
Let me redo that. I'm this close to sealing the deal.
God damn it, his Barney Fife is pretty good. Yeah. He was like I can see first base from a mile away. like,
it's in my sight.
Yeah,
I'm heading in there.
Yeah. If I squint real hard, like
what he's really saying is like, a woman paid attention to me.
Yeah.
Which, you know what? I'm guilty of that. Fuck it.
Yeah. 100%. I have been way too proud of like
just just a small amount of affection or attention. Yeah.
I was in a room alone with a woman. Yeah.
So, except he wasn't.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So then he goes back to their house for dinner.
Right.
And this is where like the cuckoldy swinger vibes really come.
Right. They the husband / pretending to be the dad lays it on real thick, asks him about his career ambitions, and Barney has got delusions of grandeur and talks about joining the FBI, and I just couldn't get past.
No. Sorry, before he talks about joining the FBI, he talks about
before that. Okay.
He talks about opening Barney Fife PI.
Right. Yeah.
Which
I would love that show.
That would be a great fucking show.
Imagine like Magnum P.I. but with Barney fucking Fife. Like he's still in Hawaii. He still has a guy in a helicopter.
That would
still a mustache.
Yeah.
That would be hilarious. Magnum P.I. had a guy in a helicopter. I missed that part.
That was his best friend.
Who had a helicopter. Wait, I might need to watch.
Yeah,
this show sometime.
the most material resources a Private Eye has ever had, where he just had like
that's impressive.
Like, I need to figure out whether or not this divorcee is cheating on is cheating on her husband. Like, get in his helicopter.
Wow.
Yeah.
It was like they would just find excuses to use the helicopter.
I've never watched a second of Magnum P.I. How many situations could have possibly required a helicopter?
Hey, when all you have is a helicopter, every problem starts to look like a
helicopter.
A helicopter fall.
Wait, let me do that. When all you have is a helicopter, every problem looks like a helipad.
Yeah. There we go. Something like that.
So wait, he's talking about opening like Barney Fife PI. All right.
He does mention that he's got a nice little nest egg saved up, which is probably a lie.
Almost certainly. He is definitely hand to mouth on this.
But he also, but he does like mention like, talking about joining the FBI, and he's like, I thought I'd drop old J Edgar a note one of these days and sort of feel him out. And I just like almost burst out laughing when I heard that. And I'm just like thinking about, now is Barney Hoover's type or not? And then I like had to look up Clyde Tolson, and I'm like, what? Because the only thing that Barney Fife basically does kind of look like Clyde Tolson with just a weaker jaw.
Wait, I knew J Edgar Hoover was like, there was
a rumor that he cross-dressed.
That he cross-dressed. I didn't know that
he was almost certainly fucking Clyde Tolson.
Okay, I didn't know that.
They went on vacations together. He left him all of his stuff. They were buried together.
Okay.
J Edgar Hoover was fucking Clyde Tolson. Yeah. He was almost certainly closeted.
So, real Abe Lincoln situation.
Abe Lincoln?
Lincoln was gay, and wasn't Abe Lincoln in a
I remember hearing I remember hearing non-convincing evidence about this, but I've heard very convincing evidence about J Edgar Hoover. Mainly that he had no female romantic partners, that he had actual, beyond superficial relationships with, versus Clyde Tolson he went on vacations with, went to the opera with, ate dinners with, was buried together, left him all of his stuff. He was almost certainly fucking Clyde Tolson.
So I feel like the J. Edgar Hoover wears dresses thing was just like them being homophobic about him probably being gay.
Possibly, yes. But there's compelling evidence that he was fucking Clyde Tolson. I'm not sure if he was a cross-dresser. It wouldn't put me past him because he was like a really repressed asshole. But
Marty, do me a favor and pull up a picture of Clyde Tolson.
Nope.
Oh, I'm gonna go ahead and pull up a picture of Clyde Tolson.
But no, Clyde Tolson does, Barney Fife
there you
does
go.
look
Here's
like
Clyde Tolson. Way too much chin.
Yeah, nope.
He's got a way stronger chin than Barney Fife, but other than that, he kind of looks like Barney Fife. Yeah. At least you could say that Barney Fife is Hoover's type. Anyway.
Alright, that one-off joke really veered into.
We did veer a little bit too off joke. Sorry.
What the fuck? Alright, so the J. Edgar Hoover thing. Alright, so this then the dad husband gets up and is like, well, I guess you two would want to be alone. He pats him with a newspaper and kind of goes upstairs. It's like, oh.
Go fuck my daughter.
Have fun fucking my daughter, wife.
Fuck my daughter on the couch.
It's a weird thing for a father to do. It's a real weird thing for a husband. Pretend everything about this is weird. And so, Barney, this is again where Barney gets afraid of any kind of physical affection whatsoever.
Yeah.
She cuddles up to him and turns out the light, and he starts to get spooked again. No,
he's terrified of sex.
Yeah. No, he reacts like she's just waving a knife around. She the entire interaction, she's like, oh, it's really nice hugging you. And she's just constantly doing stabbing motions at him. He's almost not physically repulsed by her touch, but taking it very
he is trying to shrink himself under the couch cushions.
Yeah. What the fuck? And for all of his shit, there's definitely something to be stated about the fact that for all of his, shit about, playing the field,
yeah,
when it does actually time...
When it's go time, he doesn't have it.
Yeah!
Anyway, but, this was the scene where I absolutely really started to notice the whole set design and stuff, how the set of this house absolutely looked like it was the 1950s or 1960s versus the rest, every other, like, set in Mayberry looks like you could have plucked it out of the 30s or 40s.
Yeah. No,
all right.
It definitely had, like, a particularly old-timey set.
Right. Well... No.
No.
It had
Sorry.
It had a particularly contemporary set.
Yeah.
And everything else is old-timey.
I thought it felt like a little, like, bit of a throwback. I thought it sort of felt like, almost like Victorian a little bit.
No, look at it closely. She's got, like, all this modern photography around. Like, all of this stuff is new. It does not look like it was... Nothing looks like it was handmade. All of it looks like you could have bought it in, like, Sears or something. Like, so, this was... Like, what I saw was kind of this dichotomy kind of presented between the type of woman that I guess that Thelma Lou represents and the type of woman that Melissa represents. And, like...
I mean, that's not outside the realm of possibility. We have talked about this, like, the set designers on this show were on top of shit.
Yeah.
I mean...
They were really great. Also, they had, like, an entire actual fake city to work with. These were all... actual buildings.
Oh, cool.
Not like an actual set on a back lot or whatever.
Bob Sweeney was a competent director who was able to sort of, like, very good at crafting moods with his, with the way that he put a scene together.
Yeah.
But like, just to, like, give some context, I'm putting on my lawyer cap right now.
Go for it.
Alright, is that, like, at the time, here's what was going on in the country, is that the birth control pill was first approved for use in 1960. That's 2 years before this episode aired. And it's kind of often considered a landmark or one of the factors fueling the second wave feminist movement of the 1960s to the 1970s. But the pill wasn't available to everyone in 1960 to 1962. It was the subject of restrictive laws. There was first Griswold v. Connecticut, which came down in 1965. That's 3 years after this episode airs. That was a 7-2 vote, and that's a Warren-era decision. I talked about the Warren Court before.
Revolution.
Yes, the Warren Revolution that basically ushered in all of these transformative civil liberties and civil rights victories of the 60s that, you kind of see the Federalist Society really trying to turn back the clock on, particularly in the past 20 to 30 years. So Griswold v. Connecticut was kind of one of them. It's a less controversial one, absolutely. But anyway, it was a 7-2 vote of that invalidating a Connecticut anti-contraceptive law. And it basically recognized a right to quote-unquote intimate marital privacy. Mm-hmm. Basically the idea that the state had no business legislating what people did in the bedroom. If a married couple wanted to use contraception so that they could have sex without worrying about, getting pregnant and possibly having another kid, because this was definitely before Roe, mm-hmm. Then that was absolutely their business. So the Warren Court absolutely granted this. However, key point, married people. It wasn't until Eisenstadt v. Baird in 1972, which extended Griswold to unmarried people on the basis of the Equal Protection Clause. So, what I'm basically saying is that Melissa might not have been able to get the pill in Mayberry, but it sure makes it clear that she's not around here, in probably a place, unlike North Carolina, which it was legal to get the pill. Because that's the whole thing, is that, when you have things like this, when you have things like Roe, or I suppose in the case of this, like the 1960s or 70s, it was about birth control, where, it was a state-by-state thing. In, a New England northeastern coast sort of scenario, you could easily get that, and that's where you would, also, correlatively see the outgrowth of kind of the second wave feminist movement. Sorry.
So it could be said that, the men of, of this time period, were sort of, looking down, but not just the men, but, this was on the precipice of sexual liberation. And this was sort of the Andy Griffith Show's attempt to, essentially, filter this through the worldview of men.
Yeah, because it was certainly, this was certainly made a subject of conversation and some headlines around this time.
But Andy, there is the explicit like line up until this point where Andy says like, "You should be true to a woman that you're going steady with." So Thelma Lou sort of represents just sort of like,
oh, she absolutely
the commitment,
existing gender dynamics.
I mean, you've got like Thelma Lou. I did like a compare and contrast thing.
Holy shit!
Oh my god!
You've got like Thelma Lou.
Oh my fucking god!
You came to.
I did. I come to bat.
When he
I'm
comes,
a lawyer.
we don't have to do any work.
I'm a lawyer. I write notes. That's half my job, all right?
Holy shit.
So, all right, you've got Thelma Lou. All right. Thelma Lou dresses like it's the 30s to the 40s. Melissa dresses like it's the 50s to the 60s. Thelma Lou, she wears makeup and no jewelry. Melissa, pearl necklace and earrings, always. Let's see. Thelma Lou, natural hair. Good-looking hair, but natural. Melissa, permed. All right.
Can I just throw that here? You are so much smarter and so much gayer than us.
No, if you put a gun to my head, I could not tell the difference between natural and unnatural hair.
I guess this is the part that the part that's important, like the fundamental part of each of them that the show is trying to underscore. Thelma Lou, demure, kisses Barney on the cheek, and it's slightly controversial. Melissa fucking seduces Barney on the first date.
Yeah, but counterpoint.
Yes.
She does that seduction knowing full well that he will never, ever go for it.
Does she, though?
She's
I don't know. Just met him.
But that also calls a lot of things into question, like how well did they plan out this fucking con? But I think the idea is
that's true. I don't know about the meta-universe of, like, that Sweeney had.
This is some fucking, like, Reefer Panic style, like morality play type shit, where they're basically saying, like, women who are sexually liberated are that way because they have ulterior motives. That's the ultimate lesson.
So here's the question. Basically, is we've had some fun making fun of cuckolds today, but like, how okay is Uncle Fester with being cuckolded?
Yeah,
that's really what it comes down to.
That's very true.
Did they pick?
They
Barney?
had to have entertained the possibility that they would end up screwing.
Right.
I mean, so I know.
Or did they pick Barney specifically because they knew that he wouldn't screw?
How would they know, though?
How would they know?
Look at his face.
They've done no research whatsoever.
I'm sorry.
Folks,
do you look at
his Facebook?
Hang on. Let's for the listeners at home. Let's explain what the con is. What happens in this scene is that Barney, being cuddled by Melissa, accidentally proposes, essentially. He says, or Melissa says, "Don't you wish that we could stay this way forever?"
Right.
Wink, wink, wink. And he says, "Oh, yeah, sure." And she says, "Does that mean you'll marry me?" And that's kind of the con.
I think that's she didn't state it as a question. That was it was stated as a conclusion.
Yeah,
there was never a yes or no anywhere in there other than "Don't you wish we could be like this to forever?" Which is a bullshit proposal.
So it seems pretty clear to me that we are not going to do our normal like point by point things. I'll just run through the rest of the episode. So after
wait. I mean, I still have point for point for the rest of the episode. I just got into a bit of a thing.
Let's explain what happens the rest of the episode.
Yeah, just let him let's run through it real quick, and then we can go beat by beat.
Okay. So after that, Barney decides, I can't do this anymore. He begs Thelma Lou for forgiveness. Somehow he gets Thelma Lou's forgiveness because that girl does not know how to be good to herself. And then he has to break it off with Melissa. So when he breaks it off with Melissa, he walks back in, and then Andy gets a call at the jail from Melissa's father saying that they are suing Barney for a breach of promise.
And I have so much to say about that.
Which I'm sure you would do. For a breach of promise lawsuit, which doesn't make any sense because, there's no money. Was there a dowry that was paid? What the hell?
Sort of
you're doing a summary. We're going to go through all the various questions.
And they bring them in, and Andy makes the call that he's going to fix this by actually marrying them. But when they actually start to get married, the husband/father objects, and that's when Andy calls them out and says, "Yeah, that's because you're not her father. You're her husband. This is a con. Maybe you've done this before. Anyway, you picked my friend as a patsy, and this is a bogus lawsuit. Get out of my town." The end.
Yeah.
That's the con that we're all talking about right now.
They're doing a Tommy Boy. That is basically the whole situation is just the plot of Tommy Boy. Fuck, I spoiled Tommy Boy. You should have seen it by now. You're an asshole if you haven't.
It's at least 20 years old.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a great movie that you should have seen as a teenager. But yeah, no, so the whole thing is they're doing a Tommy Boy. The husband is pretending to be a family member. In Tommy Boy, he essentially takes that bullet just because they're that much of sociopaths.
Right.
Yeah. In this, they have to have just looked at Don Knotts and just said, like, well, that's a safe bet.
Yeah, it's a real question how much, like, they staked him out before.
Yeah, no, how much did they plan on it being Barney Fife beforehand? Because, like, no one looks at Barney Fife and is like, yes. Sexual potency, the man.
And have they done this to other Barney Fife types in other towns?
They've done it.
It sounds like they've had practice of it, or at least comfort with it.
Yeah, they go from town to town doing this. I don't know if they find a Barney Fife every time. I feel like they were overestimating how much money Barney Fife had.
I mean, it sounds like at some point this con has been profitable. Look at the house that they bought.
Yeah. No,
they're renting it. That's clear. They're renting
they're renting it, but still, they can afford to rent it.
But you think, like, they set their sights, like, they immediately, like, alright, the person we're going to run this con on is a low-level municipal employee.
Right, that is a bit misguided.
Yeah, like, you think they would, like, they didn't hold out for 2 seconds for, like, a captain of industry, or,
right.
like, they didn't, like,
They could have tried to seduce the mayor. That guy barely knows what he's doing,
and it'll be later established the mayor is very horny. So,
okay,
I mean, you got Harlan Fergus right there. He owns the bank and has all the town money.
That's true, yeah.
No, like, they just, like...
this was a missed con.
The first guy who sidles up.
All of those guys, you have to figure, maybe they would fuck her.
Yeah.
You pick Barney because you go, that dude's not gonna, like, do anything.
That dude is just, like, a house of cards of, like,
really,
sexual
though,
hangouts.
if you're a traveling con artist, do you really have that many qualms, though?
Basically, what it comes down to is how, again, like I said, how comfortable is Uncle Fester with some other dude fucking his wife?
I feel like he raises a good point. Like, con men don't give a shit.
Yeah, they probably don't. I mean, they're con artists, alright? But anyway, so, like, you know, the morning after the bullshit proposal, I learned that the local paper is the Mayberry merry-go-round.
Yes!
So I had a question about this because we've seen the Mayberry Gazette before.
There's more than one. There's more than one fucking paper in this one street town.
My only thought is that, like, the Mayberry Gazette is the official newspaper, and the Mayberry merry-go-round is
the gossip column?
It's a gossip column. That's what I was thinking.
No, there are two competing newspapers at Mayberry. They are both two different old ladies who shuffle down the street every morning, just, like, throwing the newspapers on, just like, eat shit, Gladys. Sit on it, Beth.
It's all yellow journalism.
Yeah. Like, there's just, like, each episode of, like, each issue of the Mayberry merry-go-round is just, like, has a thing of, like, again, the Mayberry Gazette can suck a fat one.
Yeah.
Alright, so it's been announced that now they're gonna set a date, they're gonna get married. Thelma Lou, obviously pretty upset about this. And
just to go back to the paper real quick though, like this is the next day and they have a gossip story about it. It's like they're faster than TMZ at this point.
Yeah, Barney would have had to call them and let them know. Well, you know what, more likely.
I think that Melissa actually called them and let them know.
Melissa had
still,
called
that seems
the
crazy
day
fast.
before.
Yeah.
No, it's like they're in the kitchen and Aunt B is like, so the Mayberry merry-go-round says that Barney's engaged, and Opie is like, why does Barney need a second girlfriend? And Andy's like, he doesn't. Like,
what? And it's like a recurring thing. He keeps asking, why does Barney need a second girlfriend? Why does Barney need a second girlfriend?
I feel like the subtle thing Opie is saying is like, how did this happen?
Yeah.
Like,
how does Barney have a second girlfriend?
Father, I understand basic human attractiveness to a fundamental level at this point. Like, I'm not great on it, but I get it.
Remember, Opie's gone through like 5 girlfriends at this point.
Oh, yeah.
He has?
Opie is a renaissance man.
Yep.
He's like 6.
Yeah.
He's had 5 6-year-old girlfriends.
Opie is breaking...
Or 1 30-year-old girlfriend.
Opie is a fighter and a lover. He's breaking noses and hearts.
Last I saw Opie, he was, like, season 1 Opie was like a little sociopath. Like, is he less so?
I mean, that hasn't...
No, that hasn't changed. No,
he's just gotten better at it.
Oh, okay. He's gotten his mask of sanity has gotten more secure.
Exactly. So yeah. Opie is like asking his dad, and then Barney just like busts through the wall like the Kool-Aid Man, and is like, "You gotta help me!"
He Kramers into the room.
Yeah,
and
and then they have this like discussion back and forth that's like, you know, this really weird, you know, view of marriage as both a legitimate sacrament and a major fucking unrealistic burden.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which, like, in this circumstance it is, because Barney is like, well, I've known her for like 20 fucking minutes. But...
So, I want to get to the scene where Thelma Lou takes Barney back for some stupid reason.
That scene is a fucking, like, house of mirrors of just denial and like and emotional and like psychological abuse.
Now we've seen Andy do this before, where he like convinces two people that they love each other,
right?
And
honestly, for the sake of his own convenience.
Yeah, and he kind of just like convinces Thelma Lou to take Barney back, and Barney swears off all other women. And she's like, just don't be a fucking dick about it.
Yeah,
you can talk to women, just. Don't be a silly schoolboy is what she calls him.
Which is just being like, don't I fuck women in front of me.
Please, like, come on. It bothers me like so much because I feel like there's almost a healthy relationship like peeking through there. Like,
but then there's this random douchery that you just randomly do.
Yeah. Oh, there's a lot. So Barney sends Andy in for him as like his emissary. Yeah. So he's like, all right, so you're going to sneeze twice if I should enter. Which, how? How would you hear that?
Oh, we know how he hears it, because he's got his ear to the fucking door.
He wasn't supposed to do that, though. He was supposed to stay in the car.
Right.
Like, they worked up a stupid system that Barney immediately fucked up.
Yeah.
So Andy goes in, and she's like, are you here on personal business or professional? He says professional. Lying. Lies and says that it's strictly professional, talks about just like parades and bullshit, and then eventually does like a really stupid thing of like, oh, there should be he does like a bad pun. Like,
he does some sort of bad pun that works Barney into it. And
works
she's
the
like,
word
get the
fife.
fuck out.
It's a Fife and Bugle Corps.
Yeah, Fife and Bugle Corps. Oh, but on the subject of Barney Fife, let's talk about him.
And she's like, get the fuck out.
She kicks him out. She's like, get out of my house. Get out. I don't want to talk about Barney Fife. She opens the door, and there's Barney. Who falls over.
He falls in, and then they kick off this like whole fucking nightmare of a conversation where he offers the most half-assed apology. Right. Where he doesn't say like, hey, I was abusive, or hey, I like cheated on you. He was just like, hey, so it turns out that cheating on you was inconvenient.
Yeah,
so
it was a bad idea for me to do this.
Yeah, and Andy says like he is wizened by his experiences and ready to commit.
Right.
And really, it's just like their explanation for why she should take him back is just like, so fucking you over didn't work out great for him. Aren't you sympathetic to how bad his life is now? Take him back. Like, they don't empathize. They don't give her, one, they don't give her a good reason, and two, they don't empathize with her situation at all.
Yeah, like it reminds me a lot of, like, the first episode that I did where, like, you know, Andy kind of strong-armed some woman into, like, letting Barney into their lives.
Yeah.
And then he gives really creepy commentary about what they're gonna do later off screen.
Yeah.
And then, like, it's kind of like Barney lampshades it by telling Andy to get the fuck out.
Yeah, he tells her to give him some sugar.
Yeah.
Like, she eventually, like, really begrudgingly, like, almost, like, broken down agrees. So she's like,
yeah.
Fine, I guess. You're sure you won't cheat on me? And he's like, probably. Yeah. And then and then like Andy leaves.
Mm-hmm.
Alright. So on to the jailhouse scene, which is the fucking meat that we haven't even gotten to.
I mean, let's just go ahead and we already summed it up. So Andy gets that phone call basically that says that they're suing Barney for breach of promise? Is that the term?
Breach of promise.
A breach of promise suit. All right. go ahead and explain to me how the hell this could possibly work, because there's no money involved.
It's an oral contract.
Okay.
So basically, a breach of promise suit was a common law tort. In other words, it was basically regarded as the same thing as a breach of contract, because, especially before the 20th century, marriage was a lot, was much more of a contractual financial thing between families rather than between individual people. And, so basically it was, it was similar to you basically form it's basically where you treat where the proposal is treated as an oral contract. Alright, and by breaking that, it's kind of it's basically, my daughter has lost all of this support. It's all of these things that, could have been brought by that companionship and stuff like that, as well as the, if you're trying to make a legal theory about it, you're talking about the intangible things that you can't put a dollar value on, like the expansion of your family and, the stuff like that.
Is that an emotional damages kind of deal?
Sort of an emotional damages sort of thing, but the thing is that breach of promise is not really a thing that you see that much today. Alright, because, the development of family law is that it's a lot more individual rather than family-based, and it's become a lot more, I guess... It's the family law has kind of evolved back and forth between keeping trying to not be involved in that shit and being too involved in that shit. But the breach of promise tort was interestingly not as misogynist as you would think. Because, it was actually relatively easy for a woman to recover in a breach of promise suit. In other words, sue a guy who said that he would marry her. Mm-hmm. It was a lot harder for a man to recover in a breach of promise suit unless there had been a dowry or some sort of actual money exchanged. So in the United States, we began to abolish the cause of action for breach of promise around 1935. Partly as a result, by the way, that's why engagement rings kind of started to take off, because they kind of represented a certain level of financial collateral that you can actually get. Then again, there's also, some statutes, in certain states that let the man get the engagement ring back, and which is kind of bullshit, but anyway, South Carolina still recognizes the cause of action of breach of promise, and about half of states still have it on the books. In 2010, in North Carolina... A breach of promise suit resulted in a $130,000 verdict. So it's still a real cause of action. And, here we see in Andy trying to mediate this, we see yet another breach of promise because he's, acting as both the sheriff of Mayberry as well as the mediator to arrange a settlement between what is basically a breach of promise, which is basically a lawsuit at this point.
Right.
Lawyers aren't involved, but someone's talking about, doing litigation. And here comes the sheriff of Mayberry trying to force a settlement, even though he is best friends and co-workers with one of the parties and is familiar with the facts. So, yet another, notch on Andy's belt of, just being,
massively corrupt.
Yeah.
So they do come in, and, the Uncle Fester basically says, well, we'll take a nice cash settlement, and we'll get out of your hair, essentially. And so Andy puts Barney's, life on the line, again, and says, alright, I can settle this right quick. And he begins to, because remember, he's also justice of the peace, begins to marry them. Yep. Does the, ceremony. And, of course, the husband-father objects. There's a little bit of argument there. Melissa says, I'm never gonna marry this. They call it a squirt. Well, I'll never marry this fucking guy. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, because you're already married to that dude, aren't you? Get out. And the final, stinger of this is Andy reveals his thought process behind it, everything that clued him in, which eventually comes down to, but what really clued me in was, why would a woman that looks like that be with you, you stupid idiot?
Yeah. Yep. He was like, why would a woman want to be... he does a whole, Sherlock Holmes in the parlor thing. And it's why would a woman that beautiful want to be with a squirt? And then just, scampers off his party, yaps at him.
But I mean, let's not forget the stinger that happens after that.
Right.
Is, where basically Andy manages to walk in on Barney and Thumbeloo making out... Even though the lights in the house are off, and, it's basically he was trying to walk in on them.
Yeah.
And,
again, seems like that was like pre-planned.
Yeah.
And he, like, the big joke is, like, when the lights turn on, he looks like the fucking Joker. Like, his
like,
hair...
Thelma Lou really likes messing up his hair and not taking off his clothes.
Yeah.
Like, that should be the cover pic for this episode, is Barney Fife just looking fucking disheveled with lipstick all over his face.
I mean, honestly, like, we've talked for more than an hour, and we have not begun to scratch the surface of the bizarre sexual politics of Barney Fife. And, like...
I think we've done a good bit.
I feel like just the fact that he cannot fuck, but also is like takes great relish in hurting the women around him.
Welcome to the 1960s, my man.
Yeah. God damn.
Where you been, bro?
I do not have a scream that can properly articulate the fucking nightmare that is Barney Fife's sex life.
All right, let's rate this. I actually don't think this episode is that good. Like, if I were gonna go back, I would probably never choose to watch this one again. So I'm gonna say on an Andy meter, this is a 4 for me. Not great. There's nothing super. You know who rules in this is
Uncle Fester.
I was gonna say the actress who plays Thelma Lou, whose name should have on the top.
No, she's never been that good up until this point. She kicks ass.
Yeah.
Oh my god. So the actual name of the actress who plays Thelma Lou is Betty Lynn.
Wow.
I'm looking at the sentence, Betty Lynn as Thelma Lou.
Wow, okay.
Alright, that's weird.
So anyway, Betty Lynn rules in this.
Yeah. The conversation and the stuff that I got to, like, look up, like, I didn't know that as much about like, the role that like, those two Warren Court decisions, played in the course of second wave feminism. That was kind of fun. But yeah, the politics and conventions of this episode.
You don't get to count research as part of the episode's
quality. So then not counting the research, it's about a 4.
Yeah. I think it's there's no part there particularly funny. I'll go with the herd. It's a 4.
As far as, I don't even know how to rate this on a FIFO meter, because it's just so sexually dysfunctional.
It's messy. It's like there's no single thing that I'm like, I'm upset by this. There's a lot of things happening upsettingly simultaneously. It feels like the entire episode Freud is trying to punch his way onto the set.
God, 7.
I'd maybe knock it up to 8 because I think that last episode was maybe like a 6 or 7 on.
I refuse to stand by our own internal logic.
I'm gonna go with an 8. An 8 feels right.
I'm knocking this up to 8.
Yeah. An 8 feels right, just because, like, I don't know, it feels like something very bad happened on this episode that we didn't totally get a piece of.
Oh, gross.
Yeah.
Alright, so that is it for this episode of Breaking Mayberry. Ian, thanks for being on again.
Pleasure.
Always great to have you add a little bit of, like, gravitas to this.
I like that when we go over an hour, we start talking at lightning round pace.
That's going to about do it for us here at Breaking Mayberry. Don't forget, you can still support the show financially by supporting us at patreon.com/Breaking Mayberry. Support us otherwise by liking, sharing, subscribing, reviewing on iTunes or other platforms if you like the show. You can follow us on Twitter. We are at Break Mayberry. On Twitter, I am at Schneid Remarks. That's SCHNEID Remarks. Dan is at The Luds with 2 Ds. Special thanks to our guest, Ian Roberts. Our opening music is done by Max Ludwig, who is on the internet at Sleep Talkie, and our logo was designed by Emily Christina, who is at Scribble Emily on Instagram. The music you're about to hear is Appalachian Coal Mines by the band Mid-Air Machine. Thank you once again for joining us in Mayberry, and we will see you all down at the fishing hole.
Barney's awkwardness in this, like, is just super cringeworthy, and it, like, just triggered memories where, like, I didn't realize this the first time I was a guest on this podcast, but now I totally remembered it, that, like, that song by Peaches actually features clips from the Andy Griffith Show. Peaches. It's
you mean
called "Fuck the Pain Away"?
Fuck the Pain Away.
Yeah. It's basically superimposes Peaches into the Mayberry Sheriff's Department, and she's like dancing around while Barney Fife is kind of like just awkwardly trying to handle the situation. I guess it's from some episode.
What the
Meanwhile,
fuck are
she's
you
like
talking about?
sucking on my titties like you wanted me.
It's the music
calling
video
me.
for "Fuck the Pain Away."
Yeah.
Holy shit!
How did you guys not know this?
It's basically I completely forgot. I blanked entirely like you did.
But that's what triggered memories of this.
You know how the Weezer video for Buddy Holly is "Happy Days"?
Yeah.
Same thing.
Holy shit!
Yeah.
I need to see this music
You
video.
do.
Yeah.